I want you to go to your kitchen after this video and look at what's sitting next to your stove. The bottle you reach for automatically. The one you've probably been using for years, maybe decades. The one marketed to you as light, neutral, healthy. The one that replaced butter and lard when the experts of a previous generation told you those were the real dangers. I have been a neurologist for 23 years. I have studied what damages the aging brain across every domain: genetics, sleep, inflammation, cardiovascular risk, lifestyle. And increasingly, the research is pointing at something sitting in the majority of American kitchens that most physicians are not discussing with their patients over 60. Not because the research doesn't exist, it does. It's published, it's replicated. It's been accumulating for 15 years in the journals that matter. But there is a gap, a significant, consequential gap between what the neuroscience community has established about certain cooking oils and what has reached the people over 60 who are using those oils every single day while trying to protect their brains. I am going to close that gap today. What I'm going to share with you is not a fringe theory. It is not nutritional sensationalism. It is an honest account of what happens at the molecular level when a specific category of cooking fat is heated and consumed, and what the evidence now says that process does to the aging brain over years of cumulative exposure. If you cook with vegetable oil, canola oil, soybean oil, or any oil sold under the generic label cooking oil, this video is for you. Stay with me. My name is Dr. Marcus Ellison. I practice neurology with a subspecialty in cognitive aging and Alzheimer's prevention. I run a memory clinic that evaluates several hundred patients annually, and the question I find myself asking more and more in those consultations is not only what is happening to a patient's brain, but what has been going into it for years. Routinely, without any clinical conversation about what that exposure actually means for cognitive longevity. I want to be precise about what I'm not doing today. I'm not telling you that one bottle of vegetable oil caused someone's Alzheimer's. That's not how neurodegenerative disease works, and oversimplification of that kind is not useful to you. What I am going to do is explain the specific biochemical mechanism, documented in peer-reviewed literature, by which certain heated cooking oils produce compounds that are demonstrably neurotoxic, how those compounds interact with the aging brain specifically, and what the practical implications are for someone who is over 60 and taking their cognitive future seriously. This is a conversation your doctor probably hasn't had with you. It should have been. Let's have it now. The human brain is approximately 60% fat by dry weight. That figure surprises most people when they first hear it. But it is one of the most important facts about your brain you will ever learn, because it means that the type of fat you consume directly determines the physical structure of your neural membranes, the fluidity of your synaptic connections, and the inflammatory environment in which your neurons operate. Fat is not a generic substance. It is a family of chemically distinct compounds with radically different biological effects. And the distinction that matters most for your brain is this: the difference between stable fats and unstable fats, and specifically what happens to unstable fats when they are exposed to heat. The cooking oils currently found in most American kitchens, vegetable oil, canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, belong to a category called polyunsaturated fatty acids, or PUFAs. Their carbon chains contain multiple double bonds, which is precisely what makes them liquid at room temperature and what gives them the light quality that made them attractive alternatives to animal fats in the second half of the 20th century. Those same double bonds are also their critical vulnerability. When polyunsaturated oils are heated, particularly to the temperatures involved in everyday frying, sautéing, or roasting, those double bonds break down through a process called lipid peroxidation. The oils oxidize, and that oxidation produces a class of reactive compounds called toxic aldehydes, specifically 4-hydroxynonenal malondialdehyde, and acrolein, that are not destroyed by cooking and are absorbed directly into the food being prepared. A study published in Free Radical Biology and Medicine found that common vegetable oils heated to standard frying temperatures produced toxic aldehyde concentrations far exceeding safe thresholds within minutes. The oils were not burned, they were heated to the temperatures any home cook would use. And the aldehydes they produced were present in concentrations that, in cell culture studies, are directly neurotoxic. This is not a theoretical pathway. It has been measured, replicated, and documented across multiple research institutions. Now let me tell you why the aging brain is specifically and disproportionately vulnerable to what these aldehydes do. The compound I want you to understand is called 4-hydroxynonenal, abbreviated 4-HNE. It is produced every time a polyunsaturated oil is heated, in amounts that correlate directly with the temperature and duration of heating. 4-HNE crosses the blood-brain barrier. Once inside the central nervous system, it binds to proteins and disrupts their function, a process called protein adduction. It damages mitochondria, the energy-producing organelles that neurons depend on for survival. And it triggers an inflammatory cascade in neural tissue that, with repeated exposure, is cumulative and progressive. Here is the detail that changes everything for someone over 60. Post-mortem analysis of brain tissue from Alzheimer's patients, conducted across multiple independent research centers, including work published in the Journal of Neurochemistry, has consistently found elevated concentrations of 4-HNE protein adducts in the hippocampus, the entorhinal cortex, and the prefrontal cortex compared to age-matched controls without dementia. The toxic aldehyde that vegetable oils produce when heated is measurably present at elevated concentrations in the specific brain regions that Alzheimer's disease destroys first. This does not prove that vegetable oil causes Alzheimer's. Science rarely produces a single direct causal arrow of that kind. What it demonstrates is a biological plausibility, a mechanism by which a long-term exposure to heated polyunsaturated oils introduces a compound that the most vulnerable regions of the aging brain accumulate abnormally. And the aging brain is more vulnerable than the young brain for a specific reason. The antioxidant systems that neutralize reactive aldehydes before they can cause cellular damage, primarily glutathione and superoxide dismutase, decline measurably after the age of 60. The brain that could tolerate a certain level of oxidative stress at 40 is less equipped to tolerate the same level at 65. The margin narrows with every decade. The same oil, the same cooking habit, a different brain, and a different consequence. There is a second mechanism operating alongside the aldehyde issue that is arguably more chronic and more pervasive in its effects: the omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratio. Your brain requires both omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids to function. They are components of cell membranes throughout the nervous system, and neither can be synthesized by the body. What the research has established clearly, however, is that the ratio in which they are consumed has profound consequences for the brain's inflammatory environment. The omega-6 pathway, when dominant, produces pro-inflammatory signaling molecules called prostaglandins and leukotrienes. The omega-3 pathway, when active, produces resolvins and protectins, molecules that resolve inflammation and protect neural tissue from ongoing damage. These two pathways compete for the same metabolic enzymes. When one dominates, the other is suppressed. The estimated ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 in the diets of our ancestors was approximately 2 or 3 to 1. The ratio in the average American diet today is estimated between 15 and 20 to 1. In some populations, higher. That shift is driven almost entirely by the mass adoption of industrial seed oils since the middle of the 20th century. Soybean oil alone now accounts for the majority of added fat in the American food supply. It is present not only in home kitchens, but in virtually every restaurant meal, every packaged sauce, every processed food that lists vegetable oil in its ingredients. The cumulative omega-6 exposure has no historical precedent in the human diet. A study published in Nutrients that analyzed data from the National Alzheimer's Coordinating Center found that dietary patterns with high omega-6 to omega-3 ratios were associated with accelerated cognitive decline and elevated dementia risk in adults over 65, independent of other dietary variables. The ratio was doing something, and the oils were driving the ratio. Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Sylvia. She was 71 when her daughter brought her to my clinic. Sylvia was a retired culinary arts instructor, someone who had spent 35 years teaching professional cooking techniques. She had cooked nearly every day of her adult life, She had eaten well in the sense that almost everything she consumed was prepared at home from whole ingredients. She had also, for 35 years, taught her students to cook with canola oil and vegetable oil because that was the professional standard, the recommendation that had defined culinary education for a generation. Her cognitive concerns were subtle, a small but consistent slowing of her processing speed on standardized assessment, a working memory score that was beginning to drift below age-expected norms, no memory complaints, no personality changes, but a directional signal in a woman who was otherwise healthy, well-connected, and cognitively engaged that warranted investigation. When we reviewed her dietary history in detail, the kind of granular review that almost never happens in a standard medical appointment, the picture became clear. High daily consumption of heated canola and vegetable oil spanning decades, an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in her diet that we estimated conservatively at 14:1. Almost no dietary sources of preformed DHA, the omega-3 fatty acid most directly incorporated into neuronal membranes. Sylvia was quiet for a long moment when I walked her through the research. Then she said something that I think about often. I taught people how to cook for 35 years. I thought I was teaching them to eat well. Gee, I had no idea. I might have been teaching them something that needed to be rethought. We redesigned her kitchen, not dramatically, strategically. Extra virgin olive oil replaced canola for everything below medium heat. Avocado oil, one of the most stable cooking fats available for anything requiring high heat. A weekly protocol of fatty fish, a quality DHA supplement verified for purity. We retested Sylvia at 14 months. Her processing speed scores had returned to age-expected norms. Her working memory had stabilized. And she told me at that visit that she had already updated the curriculum she still occasionally taught in retirement. That is what access to the right information at the right time can do, even at 71. Let me make this practical. Not overwhelming, just clear. Step 1. Identify what's in your kitchen. Open your cupboard. Look at every oil. If the label says vegetable oil, canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, or safflower oil, that is the category the research concerns. If it's listed simply as cooking oil with no further specification, assume it falls into this group. These are the oils produced from seeds via industrial extraction processes that result in high polyunsaturated fat content and low heat stability. Step 2. Make the primary swap. For everyday cooking at low to medium heat, sautéing vegetables, making eggs, finishing sauces, replace those oils with extra virgin olive oil. The evidence base for olive oil and brain health is the most robust of any cooking fat in the research literature. Its monounsaturated fat profile is heat-stable at moderate temperatures, and its polyphenol content provides additional anti-inflammatory protection that has been specifically linked to reduced Alzheimer's risk in multiple population studies. For cooking at higher temperatures, roasting, searing, stir-frying, avocado oil is the most defensible choice. Its smoke point is high, its fatty acid profile is predominantly monounsaturated, and it does not produce the aldehyde cascade that polyunsaturated oils generate under heat. Step 3. Address the ratio from the other direction. The omega-6 overload in most diets cannot be corrected by oil swapping alone. The oils are too embedded in processed and restaurant food to eliminate entirely. The other half of the solution is increasing omega-3 intake to rebalance the ratio from the inside. Fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines, anchovies, consumed 2 to 3 times per week, provides preformed DHA, the omega-3 fatty acid that constitutes the structural backbone of neuronal membranes. A high-quality fish oil or algae-based DHA supplement, verified for oxidation quality, is a reasonable adjunct for those who cannot reach adequate dietary intake. Step 4. Read ingredient labels for 1 week. Take 1 week and read the ingredient list of every packaged, processed, or prepared food you consume. Look for soybean oil, canola oil, or vegetable oil in the ingredients. You will find it in places that surprise you. Salad dressings, crackers, mayonnaise, frozen meals, store-bought sauces, restaurant preparations. You do not need to eliminate all of these sources immediately, but seeing them clearly changes how you make choices going forward. Awareness precedes behavior change, always. The oils in your kitchen are not neutral. No dietary fat is neutral. The brain is 60% fat, and it responds to the type of fat it receives as surely as it responds to the oxygen it breathes and the glucose it burns. The research on what heated polyunsaturated seed oils produce, what those products do inside the aging brain, and what accumulates in the neural tissue most devastated by Alzheimer's disease is not hidden. It exists. It is published. It simply has not traveled from the research community to the kitchen counter in a form that most people over 60 can act on. Sylvia acted on it at 71, and her brain responded. The swap is not complicated. The cost difference is minimal. What changes is that you are no longer doing something every day, unknowingly, that the evidence suggests may be working against the brain you are trying to protect. Check your kitchen tonight. Look at what's next to the stove. And if what you find there belongs to the category I've described today, you now know what to replace it with, and why. What oil have you been cooking with for the last 10 years? Tell me in the comments. I want to understand what's most common in the kitchens of the people watching this, because that tells me where the most important conversation still needs to happen. Your brain is built from what you feed it. Feed it accordingly. All content in this video reflects published peer-reviewed research and over 2 decades of clinical practice. The relationship between diet and neurological health is complex, and individual responses to dietary changes vary. Nothing in this video constitutes personalized medical or nutritional advice. Please consult your physician or a registered dietitian before making significant changes to your diet, particularly if you have existing cardiovascular, metabolic, or inflammatory conditions. The goal of this conversation is to inform. The application always belongs between you and your own care team.